Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another Creating Magic Vacations with Brett and Giuliana. Uh, Wanted to start off today with just a little bit of mousekeeping. I appreciate everybody who's joining in already. Hold on one second. Apparently, I left this live on another page. There we go. Now we're back to where we should be. Hold on. There we go. All right. So, wanted to first say thank you to everybody for joining us today. Additionally, we do have some mousekeeping information first, so we'll just get going with that. You do still have a couple days to book a trip with me and still have 10% of my commissions go to Give Kids the World, so you have through the end of the month for that. So please make sure if it's something you're looking at booking a trip, let me know. I'd love to help you out, and I'd love for part of my commissions to go to Give Kids the World, so that way then we can help that foundation and help people find or help families with children with terminal illnesses have fun vacations. um, another piece of exciting news today, June 28th. We are able to now book 2021 resort packages. So if you're looking to travel in 2021 all the way through, I think it's mid-September, we are able to book those packages now, as well as we can book ticket only and other things for 2021. 2020 tickets are still on hold. We're hopefully those will happen. Those will start opening up soon, but we don't know. All we know is we were told later this summer. So a few other things to keep in mind right now, that we do not have opening dates for Port Orleans French Quarter or Port Orleans Riverside or All-Star Resorts. Those are probably three of the largest resorts that are on property, so those are probably just taking a little bit longer to actually get through to that point. One cool thing is the NBA is actually taking over part of Disney World. Basically, the NBA is trying to finish up their season, and because they had to put it on hold because of the COVID outbreak. So one of the cool things that they're doing is they're actually going to be taking over. Well, cool thing that they're going to do, but kind of hinders us a little bit, is they're going to be taking over Coronado Springs, some of the Grand Floridian, and some of the Wilderness Lodge. And it's going to be specific areas that, as the general public, we won't be able to go to, because they do have to quarantine the players, because they don't want to put them at any risk of causing an outbreak throughout the league and then not being able to actually play the season. Their whole goal is to go to Disney World so they can quarantine, play the games, and it'll be pretty interesting to see the games played without fans, because there's going to be no fans in these stadiums when they play the games at Wide World of Sports. So, but they are keeping them quarantined, so that way then hopefully they'll prevent an outbreak within the league, and they'll be able to finish the season. A little bit of sad news: Disneyland parks and resorts openings are delayed. Unfortunately, California is still working on their guidelines of theme parks being able to be opened, and they're not going to come out until around July 4th, and it's just not going to be enough time for Disney to be able to implement those changes and open up the parks. So unfortunately, it's something that they will be pushing those back a little bit. So one of the big topics that's been going on this week is park reservations, because one of the things that you have to do if you're going current over the next few months, especially, and probably through most of 2020 at least, is you're actually going to have to reserve a park that you're going to go to. I'll lower that a little bit. So you're not going to... Good morning, Jeepa. Thanks for joining in. So if you're going to any of the parks, you do have to have a reservation for that individual park for that day. Each person is restricted to one park per day, so park hoppers at the moment are on hold. But we have been told that at some point they do plan on bringing those back. It's just something they can't do right now because they need to restrict access to the parks. So a couple things to keep in mind with that one park per day. If you're staying at a Disney resort, you can have a theme, and you have valid theme park admission. You can book a reservation for each day of your stay. if you're an annual pass holder without a resort reservation, you can book up to 3 days at a time. Or if you have a resort reservation, then you can book those for the length of your stay again. Finally, if you have existing tickets, not annual passes, but existing tickets, then you can book the number of reservations for the number of days of tickets that you have. Like I said before, there are no park hopping right now. They just opened it up to existing ticket holders. I know there were some fun little glitches with the initial opening of the system. It was holding people out and not allowing them to get all the reservations that they were supposed to be able to be getting. But it seems like most of that has started to alleviate. Additionally, Hollywood Studios has the first couple days of the opening, they've filled up each time they have opened it. So because it was just opened up to existing ticket holders without reservations now, they are also, it reopened that. But my guess is in the next couple days, you're going to see Hollywood Studios, those first 3 or 4 days especially, kind of lock up again. Park reservations can be changed. So if you need to change something because, say, oh, I don't really want to go to Magic Kingdom, but I want to go to EPCOT that day, all you have to do is cancel the one reservation and redo and add the next one in. So it's an easy process to do. But it's something that definitely you got to make sure you actually do, so that way then you go to the correct park on that day. There's 3 steps through the park reservations. First one, you need to confirm that your admission is linked to your My Disney Experience. If you haven't linked to My Disney Experience, then you're not going to be able to make your park reservations. Second one is you need to create your party. So whoever's in your family and friends, up to 12 people, can all be linked together, and you can create those reservations all at once. If you have more than 12 people, you're going to have 2 people doing it. Good morning, Grandma. Thanks for joining us.
Hi.
So after you create your party, then you're able to select your dates in your park, and you're going to review and confirm your plans. Just to give you a heads up, I do actually have a picture, and we're going to get blocked for a second, but I want to show you a picture of what the calendar looks like, so that way you know for the future. If you can see, so there's 4 dates in yellow. What those dates are, those are the dates before EPCOT and Hollywood Studios actually open. Hollywood Studios and EPCOT open on the 15th of July. So because of that, obviously you can't have all the parks available for the 11th through the 14th. But this was a screenshot that I took this morning after they had opened up to basically anybody who has a ticket. So they did open up more spots for those ticket holders who are not staying on property, and that way they have a chance to actually get into the parks. So on to EPCOT, because this is our main event today. We're talking about EPCOT, mainly focusing on our FastPass Plus attractions. I know that not all of them actually have I know that FastPass Plus is not running right now, but it's an easy way for Giuliana and I to create a divide of these rides we can talk about this time, and then next time we can talk about those rides. So that's the only reason why I'm splitting it up like that. But a few things about EPCOT before we actually get to that. First, EPCOT is under heavy construction right now. So just know when you're going, there's going to be walls up and everything. You're not going to be able to see some stuff because they're redoing a lot of EPCOT right now. The entire Future World area, they're doing stuff in multiple different areas. If you've been there anytime in the past 10, 15 years, after you walk past Spaceship Earth, or as many people call it, the big golf ball, on the right-hand side and the left-hand side, there were 2 pavilions. The right-hand side pavilion has been demolished because they're building up a whole new one. Good morning, Aunt Mickey. Thanks for joining in. So the right-hand pavilion has been completely demolished. Really, it's just they're putting something much cooler up there, so I'm excited about that.
But then you're like, I don't know what's going on.
So it is something, though, that there will be construction walls up that aren't normally there because of that fact. But just know over the next year or 2, they are going to be doing a lot of things to enhance the experience at EPCOT. So while there's some slight pain right now, it's going to pay off in the end because the drawings that they put out are absolutely incredible. They're going to do a lot of different things. Some of the things that they're doing with the construction is they're actually splitting Future World. They're completely eliminating that name because it's now going to be World Discovery, World Celebration, and World Nature. So focusing on 3 different areas throughout that land, because really with the dividing pavilions, it actually does make it so that way you can have 3 different lands all themed to different things. I personally love the World Nature one because it already has multiple different exhibits that we'll talk about today that we absolutely love. The World Celebration is going to be focused more on things like the actual events that are going on in the park. It's actually going to have a 3-story tower that's there, and on the top it's going to have a special viewing area where it looks like that's where they're going to do a bunch of dessert parties and things like that, so that way then you can actually watch it over the lagoon and be completely unobstructed view. The final one is World Discovery. That one's there's a lot of things that are kind of moving parts right now. It's like Mission to Mars is there. They are putting some other things over there. They're putting a whole play pavilion, which is be a whole discovery area there as well. So it's going to be a really cool area. And actually, one of the things I'm probably most excited about is they're putting in a new restaurant, which is going to be completed soon, called Space 220. And what Space 220 is, it's actually a restaurant that is 220 miles above the Earth. If any of you have been to I'm trying to think. I know there's one of the towers in New York actually has an elevator which has video screens all around it, so it makes you feel like things are happening while you're going up. That's what this is. So it's going to make you feel like you've left Earth up to a space station 220 miles above Earth. And it is something that I'm so excited to see because I want to see exactly how they do it. And also I love space, so that's another reason why I like it. But it did get delayed, and actually kind of a little funny story about why it got delayed. The centerpiece they built this restaurant around this statue in the middle of it. I don't know what the statue is or anything, but they actually have the statue before they finished the exterior because they couldn't get in and out. Well, as all best laid plans go, it went awry. It actually had one of the workers accidentally damage the statue. So they had to find a way to repair the statue before they could continue construction on the entire building. So, because it was supposed to actually open up last year, but then got delayed because of this. Just a cute, funny little thing. It's like, you know what, even at Disney, these little weird things can happen that you just don't plan. Yes. Oh, and Mickey, yes. And Mickey, yes. Epcot is definitely one of my favorite parks, too. It's something that I definitely enjoy going to because of all the different experiences that you can have there. And we'll focus on some of those today. And then when we do the second part of this, where we talk more about the rides that don't have, or attractions that don't have fast passes, then we'll do that as well. Just a couple last things. There are some new experiences coming that we can talk about. Remy's Ratatouille Adventure. That was scheduled for summer 2020. I don't know if that date has changed with any of the delays with COVID and everything else, but hopefully at least by fall we'll be seeing Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, because adding another e-ticket attraction to this park is kind of needed because they have some, but the rides, there's a lot of shows and everything else. So it's good that they're adding more rides to the park, I think. The other one is Harmonious. So right now, or last year, Illuminations concluded after, I believe it was a 26-year run. It was my favorite show in all of Disney. So I was very sad to see that go. And then they replaced it with Epcot Forever. And the reason they had to have an interim show is because they're building massive barges for this new show, and they didn't have space for all of them. So because of that, they had to do a transition show, which actually they've done some really cool things. They actually have these kites that shoot off fireworks. They integrated a lot of different music from Epcot history. So it was a really cool thing for them to integrate all this into an interim show instead of just going, you know what, for a year we're not going to have a show. So, but at some point in 2020, the schedule was to actually convert to Harmonious. I don't know, again, how that was impacted. Also, because of the fact that they're not having shows right now. I don't know if they're not worrying about that as much. We'll have to see. But it is something that at some point we will be seeing a really cool new show that has a lot of different effects. They have water screens, they have fireworks, they have these barges are like, I think they said 60 feet by 20 feet barges that are going to be doing a lot of these special effects and everything. So I'm excited to see what they come up with and excited to see the next part of EPCOT. So moving forward now to our first ride. So soaring around the world. First thing to know is this is an attraction for people who are 40 inches or taller. So
I can still go on it.
Yes, and Nello can too because he's more than 40 inches. Soarin' is a ride that will take you a journey that begins in the clouds above the majestic Swiss Alps. And it is a 180-degree, 80-foot IMAX digital projection dome. It's a different technology than just the IMAX that you normally deal with because, first of all, you're not just sitting in a seat. The seats move. I think probably Giuliana and my favorite memory of this was Tammy didn't know really how high you got when you actually started because me being the Disney obsessed that I am, one of the things, and here's a pro tip, is if you have the chance, request section B1. So what that is B is the middle section because there's 3 sections, and then 1 is the top row. So that way you're not seeing anybody's feet hanging down or anything else. You just have a perfect view of the screen and you're dead center on it. So it's the most immersive spot that you can possibly be on it. Well, if you're in B1, you get pretty high up. I mean, it's an 80-foot screen and you're probably 60 feet up. So it's something that you definitely don't realize at first because you walk in and you're like, oh, that's really cool. You're kind of enamored by everything, not realizing that you're going to go really high up if you're in that front row. So, not realizing this, Tammy is gripping Nello for dear life because she's afraid that at 3 or 4 years old, I don't remember if it was 3 or 4 at the time, that he was going to try to jump out because you're really only held in by a seatbelt. So, it's one of those, just know that you're going to get high up at times, and also because of the fact that it is a different type of experience that you're moving around a lot. You do move a little bit, and also visually it feels like you're moving more. Just know that it is a seatbelt. It does hold you in, but if you want to keep an eye on the little ones, definitely I don't dissuade you from that. But so this ride, it starts out in the Alps. It's going to take you through Greenland. You're going to go through Australia's iconic Sydney Harbor. You're going to go through Kilimanjaro. You're going to go and see the Great Wall of China and a lot more. And then at the end, you return to Epcot.
Really, you see the whole world.
So what was your favorite spot on this one? I know what it is, but I want you to tell everybody.
It's the one where the plane comes out. It looks like it's literally about to come at you, but it goes over you.
So one of the fun things that they do with their transitions is it's not like you're cutting. It's like, oh, I'm in the Swiss Alps. Oh, now I'm in Greenland. Now I'm here. There's different things that'll transition you, and one of those is literally a plane flies past the screen, and then you're in a different area.
Yeah.
It's really cool and a lot of fun. I thought I knew her favorite. Apparently I didn't, because I thought her favorite would be Paris and the Eiffel Tower.
That too.
So one of the cool scenes is you get to see the Eiffel Tower at night, and then you fly up it. So it is a fun, cool thing that you don't really expect. And honestly, you don't. Even though I've been on this ride multiple times, I've seen ride-throughs of this video multiple times. Because I'm so enamored about everything going on, I always forget that it's coming. Yeah. The other thing that they do, and this is one thing that Disney does better than anybody else, is they actually pump in smells to match the areas you're in.
Yeah.
And before you kind of fret and go, well, if I'm in Kilimanjaro and I'm weaving between elephants, no, you don't actually smell the elephants. It's more like air that you smell and different things like that. But not only do they pump in smells, they have fans that blow wind on you. There's a lot of different experiences that all happen at one time.
Effects.
Yes, tons of effects. So it's probably it is one of my favorite rides there. It's not something I usually do a fast pass for, and here's why. And we're gonna go with another pro tip here because, well, let's be honest, we've done this a lot. So one of the things that we do is Garden Grill is a restaurant in Epcot, and generally you can get a reservation for breakfast before the park opens. Now, the wait staff knows why you're doing this reservation most of the time, and it's because you're trying to get on Soarin' without using a fast pass. So they'll make sure your food's expedited, that you're getting it, and you're able to get out of there before the park opens, because then you can just walk down and wait right in front of the attraction, and when the park opens, you just walk right on.
Yeah.
So it's really cool because you are the first ones on that ride, and there's no wait, and Soarin' can get a long wait at times. Generally, I mean, we're looking an hour and a half wait to go on this ride. So if you can walk on with no wait, I am all for that. Right?
Yeah.
Or would you rather wait in the line?
I would rather not wait. And Mima, I think your favorite ride is Soarin'.
Yes, as some of you may know, if you know my mom, she loves Paris. So this will probably be one of her favorite rides. I'm not sure if she's been on it or not. I don't remember if we went on it when I was a kid or not, but definitely whenever we highlight Paris, I think it's something that Mima will love. So
I think you're screaming on your head, Mima.
I was going to say something else about. If you do end up not being able to get a fast pass and not getting a dining reservation at Garden Grill, one of the fun things that Soarin' does is, like Disney does a lot with the Disney Parks app. So with the Disney Parks app, what they do in this queue, because they know this line gets long, is they actually have a trivia game that you can play while you're in the line. Much like restaurants have it on the TVs, and you can do trivia at some restaurants and bars. It's the same thing with the Soarin' line. I'm pretty sure it's actually the same interface even, but they've built it into their own app. So definitely make sure not only to have the Disney or the My Disney Experience app, but also to have the Disney Parks Play app. And Jeepa says you look exceptionally lovely today. The next ride, this is one that only Giuliana and I have done. Tammy hasn't done this since we've been going. I don't know if she did it when she was younger, but I know Nello has not done it because he wasn't tall enough at the time. And this is Test Track. So do you want to tell about this a little bit?
So really much when you walk in, so you get to design what your car, like what you would want if when you were growing up, what your car would look
like a racing car.
Yeah.
You're trying to make it as fast and as good as handling as possible.
Yeah, and the shape, you can design it all. And so then I think after that you just go on to, you wait in the line, you go on to the ride, and really it's literally like you're in a car. A car. I think I tried to drive it once.
I think you were by the steering wheel, so you might have. But yeah, so you're going in a car and you're going through all these different simulations of tests and everything. And there are some surprises, which we're not going to spoil for you. Just beware, there are some bright lights and loud noises at times with this one. So if you're somebody who is sensitive to that, just know that before going on, that either you can make that choice whether you want to go on or not at that point.
Yeah, maybe headphones, but I don't know.
Like Nello's, the noise dampening headphones is another option, especially as many of you probably know, my son Nello does have autism spectrum disorder, and at times he is sensitive to noise. So putting those on him is definitely something we would do if we go on it again with him. So
which he never has been on it.
Yes. So the other thing to keep in mind is this one does go very, very fast.
Yeah.
You get, this is, I believe, either the fastest or the second fastest ride in all of Disney World.
I think that it's either, yeah, I think it's either the fastest or the second.
Yeah. So it's either this or it is Rock and Roller Coaster. I always get the two mixed up, but
I think it's Rock and Roller Coaster.
it might be. But you actually do go, like, you have this huge curve that you go through that has like a 50-degree bank turn, so it literally feels like you're going like that.
Yeah.
And the fun part is, as you're walking in, you can hear the cars racing above you because that track is right above your head.
Yeah. And also when you walk in, I think there's like actually the race track.
There's a lot of different things to see in this one. So yeah. But yeah, like Giuliana said, when you walk in, this is a long wait usually as well.
Yeah.
But if you don't have a problem riding it by yourself, they have a single rider line, or you can go for a fast pass for this one.
Yeah.
The other way to do it is, like Giuliana and I were just watching, and it just happened to be a time that it was a really short wait, and so we just ran over to it real quick.
Yeah.
And
it was amazing. I think we kept going on it a bajillion times.
We only went on it once though.
Oh.
But we wanted to go on it, but then the wait time was already up to 60 minutes again by the time we got off. So
yeah, so I was like telling you, okay, we have to go on this again.
Yes.
And then we're like, oh, never mind.
The other thing to keep in mind is after you design your car, there's generally about a 10 to 15 minute wait before you actually get onto the ride. Mm-hmm. So that is not reflected in the actual wait time that they post.
Yeah, but still, it's fun.
Yes, it's worth that wait time.
Yes, it's worth the wait.
So the next one we have Frozen Ever After. This is the one we generally end up with the Fast Pass for.
Yeah.
Because we're still, Soarin', Test Track, and Frozen Ever After are all Tier 1 Fast Passes, which means you can only pick one of those to start out your day. So because of someone's love of Frozen, I don't think I could get away with doing a Fast Pass for something else and not getting this.
Yeah.
This is also the most in-demand Fast Pass there is. So that's one thing to keep in mind is that if you're looking at Fast Passes, this is probably the most in-demand one there is. You're going to go through a lot of different things. You ride a boat. This is a water ride. You might get a little splash at one point. It's not something like where you're getting splashed, like Splash Mountain, but just beware there are a couple hills you go down, and I do call them hills because they're pretty short. But it's not something that this doesn't even have a height restriction. The hills are so small. But
at some point, you will see little baby snowmen.
Yes.
Like a giant.
Yep, with Marshmallow.
Marshmallow. So cute.
So, Juliet, what else do you like about this ride?
I really like that I sit in the middle so then I don't get splashed.
Yes, generally the kids are in the middle and it's just water that laps up over the side. So, really, you're only getting wet if you're sitting on the edge.
But I think it's good that we're in the middle because I don't think Nell would be able to handle being on the edges.
I think you'd be okay, but we always just do it because it's the keep your hands and arms inside. Yeah. Parents are better at listening to that most of the time. Let's be honest, sometimes there's some parents who are not good at listening to that. So, but there are a lot of cool experiences. They do a great job of integrating the music with it. They also just kind of understand when you go on it that this isn't a ride where it's like, oh, you know what, I'm following the movie. There's pieces that are in the movie, but they're actually telling you the story of the movie. Actually, we'll put this one up and see how this works. Here we go. So Tammy said that she loves the new technology. The faces are so animated, and I have to agree. It is absolutely amazing the way they've done the faces with these now. more and more these are becoming much more realistic in that. So it's definitely something that is continuing to evolve, and I'm just excited to see where Disney takes it in the future, because they really have done some amazing things with special effects and making it feel like those characters are actually there. Now, real quick, before we explain Mission to Mars, this is probably one of my favorite memories at Epcot.
This is my brother.
This is Nello, and he was tall enough to ride the ride, but he wasn't. He needed a booster seat still.
Okay, so he was like, okay,
yeah.
I'm ready.
So literally just standing, he stood like that for a good couple minutes, just stoic, just holding his seat, just so proud that he was going to get to go on the ride. So I absolutely love that memory, just because it was something that, like, it's those random little things that always stick out. Yet, granted, yes, you're going to love the fact that you go to have a character meal. You're going to love going on the rides. But the real memories, I feel like, are the things that are completely unexpected, that just kind of catch you off guard. And I was really happy that phones have cameras, because I was able to get that picture really quick. But on to Mission Space. Mission Space is a simulation ride that basically you're looking at a screen, and it is interactive. There's buttons that you're supposed to push at certain times. And so, granted, the one downside is if you don't push the buttons, nothing changes. But with Mission Space, the cool part is they have two different versions. I am not good with spinning things. So I've never been on Mission Space Orange. Mission Space Orange is a little more, it's more intense, and it's actually a journey to Mars, whereas Mission Space Green, which is the one we've been on, is you orbit Earth, and it's a little less intense, but it still is an exhilarating experience. Do you want to talk about it a little bit?
I don't remember.
Oh, okay. No, that's fine. We watched this video yesterday, so, and then we watched a lot of videos this morning so we could remember them. But Mission Space, the other thing to keep in mind is if you are claustrophobic, please don't go on this ride. It closes you in. Like, you actually lean in, and the screen's like right here. As far as that goes, definitely just know that it is something that you don't want to actually go on this if you are claustrophobic. Also know there is some spinning, there is some moving around. It is a more intense ride than some of the others. The simulation does feel more realistic because of the fact that you are like inundated with that screen. The other thing to keep in mind is Mission Space Green has a 40-inch height restriction, whereas Mission Space Orange has a 44-inch height restriction. So just be prepared with that as well.
So if you're not 40 or 44 taller, you can't go on this ride.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Just wait a few years and then you'll be able to go on. Or
few years. Except for me. That's for me. But yeah.
All right, so our next one is my absolute favorite ride in the entire park. Living with the Land.
That's a good one.
So Epcot, one of the things that they specialize in, and they promoted it a lot when it was early on, but they haven't done as much now, is the edutainment. So you're learning as you're being entertained.
Yeah.
Living with the Land is the perfect embodiment of this.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that you actually take a trip learning about their greenhouses and learning how they're experimenting with technology.
Yeah.
And working with the Department of Agriculture to actually develop this technology and get it into the mainstream. You see a lot of different things. Like, what are some things you like seeing on this?
I think the garden.
Yeah. So you get to see a lot of different gardens. Yeah. And one of the cool things
There's a lot of signs.
Yes. Yeah, they've labeled everything, so you know what every plant is. And there's some huge plants there too. So it's really cool as far as that goes, seeing some of the things that they're experimenting with.
Yeah.
Additionally,
not just the garden.
Yes.
Everywhere too.
Oh, yeah.
Not just the garden.
You actually take a trip past their lab, and you can see some of the things they're working on.
Yeah, and there's a sign next to it.
Yep.
Again.
And one of my favorite things about this is the food that you see grown there, they actually use. And actually, Tammy, you jumped just ahead of me, but I'll hit that in one moment. So one of the things that they do is the food that they grow there, they actually use in the Garden Grill restaurant and in Sunshine Seasons. So the two restaurants that are in that pavilion, they use that food there. So it's not like they're doing this and just testing it and be like, oh, yeah, we'll donate this or we'll do something else with this, which, granted, if they donate it, it'd be nice too. But to actually use it in their restaurant so you get to taste the food is absolutely amazing.
Restaurant, I don't know if I should talk about this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and so it spins, and literally the ride is right next to that area.
Yes.
So you can see the people going by.
So the restaurant she's talking about is Garden Grill.
Yeah.
And it was funny because when I first tried to book this reservation, the first time we went, when I think Giuliana was only 2 years old, I called and I'm like, I need to know the restaurant that turns. And they're like, we don't know what you're talking about. Really? Are you sure this restaurant exists? Maybe this restaurant's gone. And it took me a lot of research to find this. But the restaurant Garden Grill actually turns at 1/8 mile per hour.
Yeah.
And goes in a massive circle. Yeah. So the entire restaurant's on a giant turntable.
Yeah.
And so what you see is living with the land. You overlook some of it while you're turning.
Yeah.
So
amazing.
The fun part is like you'll look down at your food and you'll be eating and you're talking to everybody because you're enjoying it, and then a character comes over, so you're talking to Mickey.
It's sort of like hard to actually get on the thing.
It's not. It's moving very slow.
I mean, yeah, that.
You just watch your step as you're getting on, but yeah.
Yeah, just watch your step.
But the funny part is then you look up and you're like, oh, we're in a completely different area.
Yeah.
You don't notice you don't feel the movement.
Yeah.
You just notice it every once in a while when you look up.
Yeah.
So another pro tip with that is the fact that ask to sit on the lower level. Because with the lower level, you get to see a lot more. The upper level, you kind of don't see as much of living with the land. You just kind of do the rotation. So, but back to one of Tammy's comments here is there is a tour called Behind the Seeds. And yes, it is a play on words. It's SEEDS because you're going behind the scenes in their greenhouse and seeing all the seeds and how they do it. So
I think there's also a club in the garden, so you get to learn about everything, I think.
Yeah, you get to go. You actually get to walk through their greenhouses and go into their lab, and you get to see all the things that they're working on right now, which I am very excited to try that at some point because it's definitely something I want to do. And the other thing I would say is this is really nice because it's only $25 or $29, I think it is now. I think it's $29 right now. Which, to do a behind-the-scenes tour at Disney for $29, I'm doing that all day.
Yeah.
So it's something that, unfortunately, I didn't really learn about and really look into much until we had been there a bunch of times. And also because Nella wasn't tall enough yet at the time because I don't remember if it was a height or age requirement, but unfortunately, he wasn't going to be able to go. So, but next time we go, he will be old enough and tall enough. And so we are definitely doing this tour.
Yes.
The next ride we have is The Seas with Nemo and Friends. Now this one is going to take you through a bunch of the scenes with the Finding Nemo. They use some of the music from it. They also use some of the music from another attraction we talked about a couple weeks ago at Animal Kingdom, which is Finding Nemo the Musical.
Yeah.
Because they wrote so much music for that, they've integrated some of that into this as well. One of my favorite parts walking up is if you look at the picture up top here, the little birds, if you remember those from Finding Nemo, where they're all mine, 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 mine. Those birds are there. I find them hilarious.
I think they also talk.
Well, all they say is mine, yeah. But yeah, they talk.
No, like literally, and like when you walk, I think they talk.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. That's what
they're claiming mine on everything that walks past them.
Yeah. Everything that walks past them, they say mine, 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 mine. They can't move. They can't move except their mouth. So,
No, they do. Their heads move too.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So.
But their feet do not move.
Yes.
So you're lucky.
This used to be a ride called the Seas. They're the Living Seas. They've since rethemed it to Nemo and Friends, and honestly, it is a fun ride. It takes you under the water where you can see all the different things, and you'll see
amazing.
Marlin and Dory and Bruce, and you'll have to dodge stinging jellyfish at one point, and you also get my favorite character in the movie. You get to meet Crush and Squirt. The turtles are my favorite.
Squirt is my favorite. And Nemo.
But as long as you follow Dory's tip and just keep swimming, you'll find Nemo at some point too.
Yes.
So, another pro tip is the fact that sometimes our kids need to burn off a little bit of energy because of the fact that they've been waiting in lines or riding in rides, so they haven't really been moving around a lot.
Yeah.
When you exit this ride, you exit into the second largest aquarium in the world.
Mm-hmm.
There's a 5.7 million gallon saltwater aquarium that a massive amount of fish call home.
Yeah.
There is an experience you can do here that you can actually scuba dive in these tanks as well. That one's more expensive, and you do have to be scuba certified to do it, but it definitely is another cool experience that you can do here that you don't really get to do a lot of other places. But beyond that, also, there's a bunch of areas for the kids to play, and they actually get to climb inside Bruce the Shark. Beware if you are going when the park's open, it will be something that is not open when they first start out, because, again, they would be scrubbing that thing every 12 seconds, and no kids would ever get to touch it. So the play area is closed off, but you will still get to see a bunch of the aquarium and everything else.
Yeah. Big ball, yay.
Spaceship Earth, whereas
I love this.
a lot of people call it the big giant golf ball.
It's humongous.
So this is a 16-minute long ride.
And it actually has, I don't know if I can talk about this, but
100%.
There's like an earth, and you I think go around it. It's really cool.
Yeah, so you're talking towards the end. You actually, because the entire ride is inside this geodesic sphere.
Yeah,
that
and so you think of
is
the
mind-blowing to me.
future. The future, sort of, I think.
So we go into the past, and then we progress through to the future. And when you get to the top, it actually, you can see the curvature, and so you really understand you're actually inside of the sphere, and they project an image of being in space and seeing Earth from a distance.
Yeah.
And so it's really cool because it's this big area that you get to be in, and you get to see a lot of different things with it.
Yeah,
and then
awesome.
You progress back to the beginning, and you get to, there's actually an interactive game where you get to choose your vision of the future. And then you get to, it actually does a video and everything else. It's actually a lot of fun. So one of the cool things is this uses a ride technology that was designed by Disney called an Omnimover system. And what that is basically it's continuously moving. There's 152 cars on this ride. Each one holds 4 adults or 6 people if you have 2 kids with you as well. And the way it works is they're all on one massive track. So you spiral all the way up, and then you have a path through the middle to come back down to the end. Yeah. And it's really cool, some of the things that they do. At the moment, it is it's narrated by Dame Judi Dench. Yeah. And there's a few different lines in there that have kind of become synonymous with it. So
also, there is a tilt at the first part.
Yes.
Yeah, so you go up, but it's still tilting.
Yes.
But then I think you're flat.
Yeah, for the most, you're tilted a little bit, but you're kind of weaving through you're spiraling up through all of it.
And so you get to technology the thing, sort of.
Yeah. So it's really cool as far as the actual ride mechanism itself, because this was something that Disney developed and has been integrated a lot of other places now.
I think that's my second favorite ride.
Yeah.
Or my first. I don't know. I mean, like in EPCOT.
Oh, yeah. So, couple things to be aware. This ride, they did delay the refurbishment because the refurbishment was supposed to start in May, But because the parks were closed and people didn't get that one last ride, it will be opening back up when the parks open back up. They haven't said exactly when it's going to be shutting back down again, but my hunch is it's not going to be open a long time before they shut it back down, just because they do have a refurbishment plan for this. One of the things is I know that they're redoing some of the stuff with the Egypt one. So what that would also tell me is that they are doing a new narration. Yeah. So I'm excited to hear who the new narrator is, because we've had a few over the years, and they've always done a very good job. People have their favorites, and I think that's more based on when you first went. Because
my favorite was I think the last time I went on it.
Yeah, so you've only heard one narrator. You've only heard Dame Judi Dench.
Yeah, I really like her.
But like, being that I'm older, I've heard a few others. So Jeremy Irons did it for a while. He was also the voice of Scar. He was one of the people that did it. That is probably the one that a lot of people gravitate as being their favorite. But again, there's different things with each one, and I'm just excited to see what the next one brings as well.
Okay, so they're like the people that do the characters.
Yeah, so it's somebody talking about, you know how we hear somebody talking the whole time as we go through? Yeah. That's the narrator. Oh. So
that's the person who did the voice of someone. Character.
Yes. So yes, Jeremy Irons did the voice in Spaceship Earth, but he also did the voice of Scar. Okay. Does that make sense?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. We'll explore more of that probably offline.
No, it didn't. It actually did. It
okay.
Made sense.
All right. So the next ride we have, and I just realized I have the incorrect picture here. Did I swap them? Nope. I just put the wrong picture here. All right. So anyways, technical difficulties. We'll just move on. Journey into Imagination with Figment. This is a ride that I actually haven't done since I was a kid, and they've changed it since then. But it's a ride that they explore the five senses. And Figment is a character. He's a purple dragon, and he is a figment of our imaginations.
It's so cute.
He is adorable. Yes. He is the pseudo mascot of EPCOT as well.
Yeah, he's like a little thing inside your brain.
Yep.
That makes so much big imaginations.
And he does cause a lot of mischief throughout the entire thing, going through the labs.
Yeah, it's really cool.
They do explore all the different senses as you go through. Yeah, this one, again, does have some loud noises and bright lights at times. So just beware of that. But it is one that it's a fun thing because, again, it's edutainment.
Yeah. We've never been on it, but we watched the video again.
Yes, we've watched this video a couple times because I wanted to see more of it. And honestly, the only reason is because it's kind of in a weird spot that you almost forget about it at times. Yeah. But
it's really cool.
It is something next time we definitely plan on going on, because it generally is a short wait, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. The only reason why we didn't go on it last time is because it had over an hour wait.
Yeah,
we were tired. So we said, we're just going to go back to the hotel.
Back to the hotel. I mean, like, it looked fun, but we were not up for it.
Yeah, we didn't have the energy to wait an hour, and there was no fast pass. So, and you run into that sometimes. And that's the one thing I love about Disney. You can't do everything in one trip. Yeah. You physically can't.
Yeah, and that's pretty much about your whole life.
So, yeah, you don't always get to do everything. So the nice part about Disney is you get to keep going back, and you get to have new experiences every time. And even if you do the same things every single time, it's going to be a different experience, especially if you're traveling with kids, because I can tell you, every single time I've gone with Giuliana, it's been a different experience. She's seen different things, she's noticed different things, and her reactions are different. So it is something that you kind of develop that understanding of, you know what, it's going to be a different experience each time, and it's a lot of fun to have that.
Yeah, you never know, like, if your kid's going to experience something, or if someone else is going to.
Like, because there's things that I see that I'm, like, I study this stuff. Yeah. And I still run across things I'm like, I never noticed that. That's so cool. Yeah. So, The next one that's housed in the same pavilion as Journey into Imagination is the Disney and Pixar Short Film Festival.
Yeah.
So this one you put on a pair of 3D glasses. It's an 18-minute festival featuring 3 different shorts. So it's just 3 different Disney and Pixar shorts.
Okay, cool.
And this is one that's perfect if you just need a break from the heat.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect spot to go. You get 18 minutes without any heat.
Yeah.
And nice air conditioning. So
air conditioning.
There is an exhibit after it that you can also spend a little more time in the air conditioning. Sorry, I have the hiccups all of a sudden. But because we haven't been to Figment, we haven't been to this as well because they're both in the same pavilion. But definitely think it's something we want to do next time.
Okay.
So our final ride is Turtle Talk with Crush.
Turtle Talk.
Crush being one of my favorite characters, I absolutely love this experience.
And it actually says how many kids he had.
Yes. Do you remember how many he said he
I
has?
think he said 25.
65.
Oh, 6.
Crush has 65 kids. And the thing that he said is the most difficult isn't keeping all their names straight, which was what I thought it was going to be. Do you remember what he said the hardest thing is?
I don't know.
They all like to ask questions.
Oh, yeah. So it's like...
So the amazing thing about this ride is, it's a show. It's extremely interactive.
Yeah.
One of the things that they do is they actually have a cast member who has a microphone, and you can actually talk to Crush.
Yeah.
You can ask him questions. He'll ask you questions.
Like, there's a microphone, not literally a microphone, but there's like a pretend microphone, and he's literally talking to you.
And so, like, say, for example, he wanted to call on Giuliana. He'd say, you know what, I want to talk to that what is it? He says, I want to talk to the child who has the white shell with the green ribbon on it. And
I don't have a green ribbon, but okay.
Well, no, the red collar on it. So he's going to talk to the kids like they're turtles. So their shirts are shells, and he will literally call out different kids in the audience that the cast member has to go find.
So he talks about. So he explains what kid he wants to talk to, and that person goes over to them, and literally they talk in the microphone, and the first thing Crush asks them is, "What's your name?" So just be aware of that.
He asks them what their name is, and then he uses it when he talks to them.
Yeah.
It is a really cool improvised show.
Yeah.
So it's never the same show twice. We've done this 8 or 9 times at least now.
Maybe.
And it's never been the same show. And
Nope.
I did feel bad for Giuliana because every kid doesn't get to get called on, because if you notice in the picture here, that's only a few of the kids that are actually in the actual room.
Yeah.
But they do have 2 spots for the kids to sit in.
So there's only a few spots. So I didn't get called on, sadly.
Yeah.
But so literally, my mom is I think crossing her fingers.
We were.
Yeah, and literally, he calls on the kid behind me.
Well, because the thing is, we've been to the show like 7 or 8 times, and Giuliana has never raised her hand. She's always been too scared to do it. Yeah. And she finally got the courage to get her hand up, and the kid behind her got called on.
I mean, that's not a bad thing.
No. You just want your kids to know, hey, if you get the courage to put your hand up, they may or may not call on you. So please don't be disappointed if they don't call on you. We can always try again.
Yeah, so before you go on the show or the ride, not literally a ride, but just tell your kids that they might not get called on.
So it is something, though, that you definitely want to make sure that they know that there's potential for them to get called on or to not get called on. Just so you know,
kids crying there.
At least one of the kids that gets called on, the parent will get talked to as well.
Yes.
So just know if your kid gets called on, you may have to talk as well. So if you're nervous about talking, just be aware of that. But They do bring in other characters. It's not just Crush the whole time. Dory's in there, Hank's in there, Destiny's in there.
Okay,
There's a bunch of funny little things that we won't ruin for you, but it is they do a very cute job of it, and honestly, it is
Hank
something
is hiding. That's the one thing.
Yes.
I'm not telling you where, but he's hiding somewhere.
And he will surprise you.
Yes.
But just know that it is something that is a lot of fun, and it's definitely worth going to. And honestly, I laugh out loud every single time because I'm not prepared for some of the things that Crush says or some of the things that the kids ask. So
it's just really funny.
Yes, they do a great job with that.
So if your kid needs to burn off some energy or laugh, go to that place.
Yes, because this is the other one that also empties back into the aquarium. So after you finish, you can go explore the aquarium some more.
Yeah, but it's really funny.
The entrance to this one is also inside the aquarium. So just be aware that it's not something where there's a sign outside. You have to actually go into the aquarium first before you can get into it. Yeah. So I would like to thank everybody for joining us today. We did have, Giuliana and I had fun. I hope you did too.
I did.
Oh, good. I hope the rest of you had fun. Just a quick reminder before we sign off. There's still a couple days left if you are looking at a trip for 2020. If you book with me before the end of June, 10% of my commissions do go to Give Kids the World, which is an amazing charity that donates to families with children with terminal illnesses. They give them a week-long vacation in Orlando, so that way then they can have a trip that they can have as a memory. So
that is the thing that I love.
Yes.
I wish I had that. I was sick, but at the same time,
no, you don't. Please don't say that.
I'm kidding.
So it's something that they do an amazing job, and we definitely want to support them. So even if you're not booking a trip, if you have the ability to donate a few dollars to help them maintain, every dollar helps them do something. So thank you very much for joining us. And as always, we'll see you again real soon.